Welcome to Podadelphia. My name is Dave Diorio. You can find me on Twitter at @fat_lobster. And just in the nick of time, I am joined by a guy who loves to polar bear head bob. What's up, Gene?
I don't even know your reference this week. That's how out of it I am this week.
Well,
but
do
I
your
am
thing,
here,
and I'll let you know
just
what
in
I'm
the nick
talking
of-
about.
Just in the nick of time. I was just watching too much AllStar Game and didn't realize what time it was and hustled my butt upstairs for a little Podadelphia.
Nice. And you can find the show on Twitter
At Podadelphia.
At Podadelphia, right. Nice job. Nicely done. The polar bear head bob. Did you watch the home run derby last night?
No. I missed the actual home run derby last night.
Well, our entire episode is going to be about the home run derby. So,
all right, well,
Buck, we're going to get you caught up. Just kidding. But I do want to start with the home run derby. This is going to be a sort of all-star focused episode, but we're going to talk a little Phillies and some other stuff as well. But you know, everything kicks off with the home run derby last night, and Pete Alonso is your winner. In just sort of epic fashion. I mean, the man just mashed everything. But he was doing this like in between.
It was this thing?
Like during his like 30-second timeouts, he was just like,
you're just in some like a biorhythm.
Well, just like a white guy at the bar listening to like the remix to Ignition. You know how we just kind of, you know, he must have had something similar, like going through his head. So he was just kind of like trying really hard to like be cool, and it just wasn't working. I mean, it was just he's cool enough mashing 500-foot home runs. You don't need to like
you don't really
sauce
need that.
It up with some white boy dancing
to make it work.
No. When you're on like a field, like you're going to be sharing a field with like guys like Tatis and everything, I don't think you want to get into some sort of like weird dance off with any of those guys. But and there was also an epic battle between Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani in the first round. And if you missed it, it was really great because Shohei started off really slow. He couldn't get anything going, and he was really the draw. Like everyone was like, Shohei Ohtani is like leading up to the All-Star game. I don't know when it kind of ramped up for him, but there was one point where he was just hitting a home run or two every game leading up to the All-Star break. So everyone is in like Shohei mania.
Mania.
Yeah, and he really just struggles at the beginning of this, and then he figures it out, and they wind up tying, and then they go to a 1 minute playoff between the two of them, and it's tied after the 1 minute playoff, and then they go to swings, which is they resort to the old format where you get 3 swings. You don't have to swing at everything, but you get 3 swings, and Soto just hits 3 home runs on all 3 of his swings. Just incredible. To advance. Now, you didn't see it, but they changed the rules this year that you don't have to wait for the ball to land before the next pitch gets thrown.
So you can sort of have that.
Yeah, the problem is that the broadcast was awful. So there were two broadcasts. There was the main ESPN with like Carl Ravitch, and then there was the StatCast broadcast. Which was like a little bit more interesting because they gave you a little bit more like insight into what was going on. But the problem was they could never.
Was it actually Stat Boy?
No, it wasn't Stat Boy. But what the problem was, like no one could figure out how to show you everything. And part of the great thing about waiting for the ball to land was that you got to just watch the majesty of the home run before the next pitch. And I really hope that they revert back to that, because there's a lot of times there was a split screen of just the hitter hitting and then the BP pitcher throwing. And you couldn't really get the full impact of like, where is this ball going? How far is it? I think either give them more time and go back to the old format.
Why do you think they changed it up? Do you think it was going too long? Were they trying to save time?
I think people weren't obeying the rule. Because if what I remember right from 2019, like I was like, well, that ball was supposed to land first before he throws that next pitch. Yeah, I think people just weren't following it, and they're like, sure, just more home runs. It's fine. They'll just hit more home runs. Because when you look back, my wife was like looking up, like, wait, what's the most home runs that was ever hit in a home? And I'm like, well, you can't really look at it like that because the rules always change. And she's like, right. Yeah, how did Ken Griffey Jr. win one year with only 7 home runs?
Right.
And it's like, well, that was the format then. It was, that like you got 10 outs was the old format. So the home run derby was fun.
Do you remember growing up and watching the old reruns of the old TV show Home Run Derby? Do you have any recollection of that at all?
What is that? A TV show called Home Run Derby?
There was an old TV show called Home Run Derby. And I mean like old show. And the reason why I remember it so well is because it's really where I actually experienced the personality of a lot of the baseball sluggers from sort of the heyday of baseball, like the golden era of baseball. It was a lot of the guys from the like mid to late.
What's the format of this show?
It was like, I believe it was like innings, and you would have like, no, I mean, I'm literally going back to like.
So it was a home run derby.
Yeah. But it was, I mean, it was a television show, and but it had like the person who I remember distinctly like really liking, like you got to experience their personality in a way that you never did any other way. Was it's how I got to know what Roger Maris was like. Maris was a guy that was on it. I'm trying to think of some other guys that stuck out as far as their personality to me. But yeah, I mean, it was a made for TV sort of television show. It was black and white. I think the reruns used to run on ESPN.
Oh yeah, this is pretty old. So yeah, I just looked this up. This was a 1960 television show, and it was held at Wrigley Field in Los Angeles. I don't know. I'm reading.
It only run 1 year.
This may not be great. Major League Baseball sluggers of Major League pitted top sluggers of Major League Baseball against each other in a 9-inning home run contest.
Right. And they would show the reruns. And I probably saw, I mean, if it only ran 1 year, I probably saw the same one.
Yeah, it was just 1 year. ESPN tried to revive it in '89. I guess that.
Which would have been about right for my memory to be sort of throwing this.
But yeah, I mean, they had, so Hank Aaron was on this show a bunch of times. Harmon Killebrew, Mickey Mantle, Eddie Matthews. Oh, man, Willie Mays, Frank Robbins, Duke Snyder was on there. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it had some guys that were sort of titans of early baseball, which you didn't really have any other way to experience them, because unlike, now where you can watch games from the 80s fairly easily.
Yeah, sure.
There just wasn't the same sort of access at the time to watch older games. And I'd always heard, my dad would talk about guys like Harmon Killebrew and stuff, but you had no relationship to them. And the way this show worked, they sort of interviewed these guys sort of between these innings and whatever. So it did really give you a sort of sense of what their personality was like. It was one of the things that I really, really drew me in to the game of baseball as a whole. They don't do anything like that to market players necessarily currently. And I guess maybe that's sort of my question surrounding the All-Star game. It's funny because as the game was starting tonight, my mom has probably watched more baseball this year than any other year, partly because I'm here. And the last time I was watching as much baseball with her in the room, I was probably still in Little League. So she's sort of by osmosis been forced to watch a lot more of the Phillies than she used to. And she was saying, how come the Phillies don't have more All-Stars? Why? As far as she's concerned, there are certain Phillies players that should be there. or at least, or performing at what she would consider an all-star level. But, I sort of had to say to her, it's not being an all-star isn't it what it used to be, Ma. It's not the same thing as it used to be. Maybe back in the 60s and 70s, it was more about, who put up the best numbers. I said, but now there's a certain popularity aspect to it.
Well,
this is the first year for me with baseball that I remember ever hearing that people didn't want to participate. I don't remember it being
okay. We're going to get into that.
Bad.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that. But what player does your mom think that the Phillies should have as an all-star that is not? Did she mention like?
Oh, I mean, it's not fair because she doesn't really quite have the same.
I mean, 2 is a good amount. I mean, that's...
Yeah. I mean, she certainly thinks that Bryce Harper should have been there, and she said, it seems like that Gene Segura every time.
I think your mom's watching a lot of
2 for 3.
I think your mom's watching a lot of Phillies baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a lot of around the league viewing going on.
No, I mean she sees the other
in the old Zilak estate
for a couple of days because that's who's in town, who's playing. But and she certainly doesn't like any of them because I don't like any of them.
Sure. Well, it's funny. So you're talking about marketing players, and going into the All-Star game, we had these comments from Stephen A. Smith about Shohei Ohtani, and if you haven't heard them, these were his comments on First Take. He said, "But when you talk about an audience gravitating to the tube or to the ballpark to actually watch you, I don't think it helps that the number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he is saying in this country." And I mean. I think MLB has done a
Did he say that in 1944? What? That is so bad.
Look, if you're in this country, learn to speak English. Come on, you can't. These comments are totally tone deaf in 2021.
He's never heard of Ichiro Suzuki.
No, or I mean, it's just absurd. It's in a show that's called First Take. I mean, what do you expect if you're watching this stuff for any sort of insight? You're kind of barking up the wrong tree. Anyway, I think MLB has done a great job with marketing Shohei Ohtani, as well as Fernando Tatis Jr. and Vlad Guerrero Jr. And so, I mean, my son, we were at the baseball game on the Friday of 4th of July playing the Padres, and he was like, "Dad, who's my favorite player?" And I said, "Just JT Realmuto." And he goes, "Okay, who's my second favorite player?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Shohei Ohtani." And he's like, "Who's your third favorite?" He goes, "Who's your third favorite player?" He said, "Fernando Tatis Jr." And he just, I mean, he loves all these guys, and I love all these guys. I love watching them. I mean, you think I couldn't wait to see just the first pitch of this All-Star game and see Shohei pitch to Tatis? I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I mean, it's all been sort of anticlimactic at this point because it's all just like ground outs and everything. But I couldn't disagree more. I think these guys are awesome, and I love them. I just wanted to just say that was a ridiculous.
It's funny because I feel like there's sort of a universal experience to being a baseball fan, to growing up, and getting to sort of re-see that. You certainly have gotten to re-see it through your son, and I am starting to finally get to sort of re-experience what it was like to be a young baseball fan through my nephew. He's finally gotten to the point in his little league career where he's playing games where they keep score and the kids pitch to each other, and I get why they do that, I guess, when they're younger, that they want them to sort of learn the fundamentals without the pressure of competition. But there really is something that you lose until that point when you add that element back into the game.
Sure.
So he's at his baseball camp this week, so he's been doing that. So him and I were talking. He came over tonight. My dad's birthday was tonight, so my nephew was over. And he and I were talking. Well, first of all, the fact that now I can sit with this 8-year-old and him and I can have an intelligent conversation around things like the batting average and RBIs, and he was cool. Talking about how within his little camp, the groups are sort of splintered off into their own team. So in his age group, there are enough for there to be 4 teams of kids his age group. So every day they do these little like 3-inning scrimmages against the other teams, and he was so excited because tomorrow the first scrimmage that he's going to play against, his team is the Tigers, and he's going to play against the team that's the Cardinals. And he said, the series is tied 2-2. It's the rubber match. It's the getaway game. I was like, I don't know that those are all the same thing, bud, but I do understand what you're trying to say.
But I get the sense that, leading up to the pandemic, baseball has really been, we always say it's like a provincial sport. Like you always just sort of, it's a regional thing. It's like people watch the team, like their hometown 9, and, you really only get exposure to other teams when they come to town, right? Or whatever. I feel like this year, more than almost any other year I can remember, it's becoming more of a like national scene, right? Like people are watching the Angels, they're watching the Padres. And I think it's the marketing of these players. They're watching the Red Sox, watching the Yankees. I mean, like people have always watched the Red Sox and the Yankees, but and Dodgers and everything. But I just feel like a lot of these players, people are more and more excited to see. Like I mentioned, I was at that game and I was in a line at Federal Donuts to get a chicken sandwich, and I was chatting up with a guy next to me because we were just like waiting for our food, and we got to talking about Tatis, and he said, "Yeah, that's why I'm here." And I was like, "It's why I'm here too," And I love it. I just love it. I can't get enough of it.
I think that baseball has had players like that before. There have been times where baseball has sort of been able to find these sort of storylines.
Like when we were a kid, it was Griffey, right? Like when we were a kid, it was Griffey. Like you had to see Ken Griffey, but we never got to him because he played in the AL.
The other thing about that was, even when you didn't, though, you would find ways to see him. And I remember being 10, 11, 12 and being in those summers, and my friends and I, when we would be at the pool, everybody knew all the batting stances, you know what I mean? And we would go through all of the different batting stances, you know what I mean? You'd have Griffey Jr.'s batting stance, you'd have Mark McGwire's batting stance, with a little bit of the pigeon toe, you'd have Julio Franco's batting stance. And we'd always make fun of him because he was so old. But that was the sort of the thing. You didn't, there were no other sports where I could remember sort of that ability to sort of mimic the physical traits of individual players.
It's funny. I picked up a baseball bat in my living room the other day, and it was just no kids were home, and it was just my wife, and I was like, hey, Kara, check it out, and I did like the Ryan Howard like point at the flying it up, and then I did like the Darren Dalton who had like the bat waggle like right in front of like the catcher calling his signs and stuff. So even at 42 years old, you can keep on doing that, Gene.
Yeah, you sort of can't help it. I sort of can't help but pick up a bat and immediately like put it directly over my head. You know what I mean? There's just certain things that you just can't help, and that it's so you don't see people. Maybe in Canada, kids go out back because it's always frozen all the time, and they do different player slap shots. I don't know. Sarah would probably be able to tell us better if slap shot mimicry is sort of a Canadian thing. But you don't mimic defensive linemen's stances. You don't mimic maybe you to a certain degree maybe you can mimic jump shots. But I was a kid who was always short, so there was no way I was going to mimic anybody's dunks. I'll tell you that. Really. That was never going to happen. But I could always do guys' batting stances. I could always run off the diving board, sort of shaking my fingers the way Ricky Henderson did. And it was all players from all over the different teams. It certainly wasn't just Phillies. There was not a lot of good Phillies in 1990.
The two that I could think of are like kids today will like one hand catch something and they'll go like, "Oh no!" Like I just. And then the other thing is like whenever you just shoot something, you just yell someone's name. So it's like Kobe or like Curry, or whatever. So let's get back to your point about some players passing, like a lot of players passing up the opportunity to partake in the All-Star game. How do you feel about that? Hello, Gene? Are you with me? Gene's frozen, so I'm going to take him off of the stream. Well, I just want to kind of talk about this because we've had sort of an unprecedented number of players opt out of playing in the All-Star game this year. I mean, just off the top of my head, whether it's injury or not, but maybe most notably was DeGrom. Hold on, I think Gene's back. Gene, are you back with us here?
I am. Yeah, I guess I just dropped off there for a second.
Yeah, I mean, like DeGrom said that he wants to spend time with his family. All four Astros that were nominated to the All-Star game, I believe none of them have declined due to injury. So there are no Astros at the All-Star game. So I don't know how you would feel about that as a Houston fan.
Now, I mean, do you have any wild conspiracy theory here about why Astros players don't want to come to an All-Star game that's not played in Houston?
Yeah, I mean, like the entire stadium would boo them every single time they got up in an All-Star game capacity.
Mercilessly, especially a National League stadium.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Rockies fans, I don't know how chapped their asses are about the whole thing, but like it's not in LA, it's not in New York, so it's not in Oakland. Like I don't know how hard the Thunder would be, but I don't know if it's that or if it's more just like a middle finger to MLB, who's like, hey, you want to, which did nothing to them, by the way. Like nothing happened to any of those guys. But if like the MLB community as a whole, it's like, hey, you want to paint us as cheaters? Well, we're not going to participate in your All-Star game. I mean, do you think that that's?
I don't know. It's one of the things that has driven me nuts about this season is that I sort of expected to be more of a storyline of baseball fans against the Houston Astros. And I don't know, maybe that's because I'm from the Northeast and that sort of, it's always been sort of a fans versus the other team or our own team sort of combative relationship. We're not such a passive community up here, in DC, Philly, Boston, New York. It's not, we don't just sort of politely, oh yeah, wonderful, perform for me.
So here's the list of players that are out either due to injury or they have just declined. So Mike Trout, obviously, Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Michael Brantley, Shane Bieber, Garrett Cole. Wait, no, those guys are there, aren't they?
I thought so.
Wait, denotes player who is inactive due to injury or is chosen not to play. Okay. I mean, these guys have asterisks next to their names. Shane Bieber, Garrett Cole. You say Kikuchi. These guys are there. I saw them announced today. Ryan
maybe
Presley,
they're not going to play.
He declined. Buster Posey, Ronald Acuna Jr., obviously. Yadier Molina, who declined to just say, like, hey, I just want to, I don't know, stay healthy. Justin Turner, Manny Machado, Mookie Betts, Kyle Schwarber. I mean, to me, it's like, look, it's a baseball all-star game. We got some viewership from France today.
Nice.
Bonjour. Love it. Thanks for joining us. It's the all-star game. You got voted in by fans. Like, people want to see you play. It's a baseball game, It's like, go out there and just play the game. I mean, it's an honor to go to an all-star game. I think a lot of these players are sort of like taking it for granted, and it's kind of the most hollowed of all the all-star games. I honestly think NBA players at this point hold their all-star game at a higher level of prestige than the MLB players do, yeah. And that shouldn't be the case because an NBA all-star game is a circus, I mean, right. Like, it's whatever. This is the closest thing to an actual game. And there's like when you do something amazing in an MLB All-Star game, it rings more true than amazing performances in the other leagues All-Star games.
Well, whenever city hosts the All-Star game, they sort of bring an All-Star Hall of Fame along with them. I was looking online and I saw some pictures where they had some former players going through the exhibit, and you could see, equipment, balls, bats, helmets, uniforms from years past of different All-Star games. You don't see that in the Pro Bowl. You don't go to the Pro Bowl to see Nick Foles' jersey. There's no connection to great moments in the Pro Bowl. It's just not a thing. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game was the only one that even remotely came close to having the ability to make it count. Remember how we had to deal with that whole situation there for a little while because they weren't willing to just have a tie. I liked it. I understand why it needed to stop.
Why?
I think that there was a certain.
Kids, let me explain it to you. Back in the day,
you get all the way to the World Series and you had the better record than the other team. It shouldn't have been the All-Star game that determines home field advantage.
Whatever. You play different teams anyway.
Right.
You in the AL East, you got to play all these games against the Yankees and the Rays, and and in the, I don't know, the Cubs come out of the National League and they got to play a bunch of games against the Pirates, and what you don't play the same teams anyway. So let the All-Star game mean something. Who cares? I didn't think that was a big deal. I thought it was cool. It
certainly made me more interested in the game itself. It also coincided with the time when the Phillies.
Yeah, well, as Phillies fans, we lost home field that year, and the Rays had home field advantage in that World Series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that format that year
was 09. Either there was one of them when we didn't have home field advantage because of losing the All-Star game.
I don't think we had home field advantage in either World Series.
I don't think so either.
But I think back then the format was 2-3-2.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So, but what? See, it didn't matter. We still lost. We still won one, lost one. Whatever. It doesn't really. I don't know. I liked the All-Star game meaning something. I thought it was cool. But my problem with it is that you don't manage it like it means something. That's the issue, because everyone's got to play. So the stars, the best, but this is my problem with the All-Star game. The best players come in the first inning. They play 1, 2, 3 innings, 4 innings, whatever. Then the subs come in. So the end of the game, when it's all tied and there's like a high-pressure situation, you don't even have the best players playing anymore. Those guys those guys hit the showers a long time ago. They've been out of the game for innings. And JT's up for his second at bat. He struck out in the first. He's up.
Which is also one of those reasons why you'll see such guys be the All-Star MVP, and you're like, wow, I had no idea that guy was even an All-Star, let alone do something to be the MVP.
Exactly. So that's the only like flaw that I have with it. Do you?
So in that case, would you want the All-Star rosters to be shorter? Would you want guys to literally have pitchers come in and pitch all 7 innings?
JT just went yard for the first NL run.
Oh wow, nice.
BCIB. Okay, well here, I don't know if you follow Tim Kelly on Twitter, but he gave a couple of recommendations that the MLB should rethink the All-Star break, and I think that they were pretty good. So, first one is make it 10 days long. Allow players to take part in the festivities and also have an actual break. What do you think about that?
I don't hate that idea. The only reason the only thing you dislike about it is like, tomorrow is maybe the worst day on the sports calendar because there's nothing.
There's no games.
Nothing. There's no games anywhere. Nothing. Nothing to do.
I know, but you know what?
But it's one day, so it's fine.
Game.
If I had to do like 8 days of that, I might be a little more grumpy.
Watch the Bad News Bears trilogy or something.
Yeah. But I'm an adult. I can cope. I'm thinking about
I'm an adult. I can cope. The problem is so what do you do with this time? Right, you can't add it to the end of the season because now you're gone. Yeah. Now you're into like the second week in November. Yeah. You can't really add it to the beginning of the season because now you're in like the last week of March.
Yeah, I mean, do you schedule double headers? I don't know.
I don't know, but I think that's the toughest pitch. Then he says, allow trades in the draft and turn at least the first round into a primetime event.
Wait, so have it not be the National League versus the American League?
No. He's talking about the draft, like the actual MLB player draft.
Yeah, I have no idea why I guess the reason why that's such a nothing event is because literally nobody has any idea who these people are that are getting drafted.
Well, if you watch the College World Series, you would know who they were. I mean, like I knew Jack Leiter.
Sure.
That was pretty much it, only because MLB Network was really shoving them down your throat all year long because of, Al Leiter's connection onto the show. But I think if networks like MLB Network really showcase more of these guys that are going to get drafted, then we have a little bit of intrigue. I mean, I would love to know anything about these guys and have an opinion on who the Phillies should draft at 13. I mean,
it's not – the onus is on places like MLB Network. You have enough – you could put together the video and you have the time. You have a 24-hour network. Put together some lead up, do the top 25 players, do the top 50 prospects,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then have the Phillies pick none of them.
Because if they put even like a quarter of the amount of time that they talk about the NFL draft onto talking about the MLB draft or really anything else, the amount of my life I would get back from not having to listen to NFL draft talk would be incredible.
Well, I think they should make college baseball should be bigger than it is.
It really should. It's a much better game than people give it credit for.
Absolutely. It's really fun to watch, and it should go beyond the College World Series. I just think that NCAA should do a better job marketing.
For that matter, is a really fun game to watch. I watched a lot of the Women's Softball World Series this year. There were a lot of really intriguing games. A lot of really fun teams to watch. A lot of great upsets.
Yeah, and we had that Cinderella story in the softball, the Women's College World Series. So, which we've talked about on the show even. So that's, but I actually enjoyed watching the baseball draft this year. I don't think that there was really a time that I've ever watched it before. But I thought it was cool to watch. You got to learn a little bit about the players. The problem is that we draft this kid like Andrew Painter. Like, okay, who is he? He's out of high school, right. Blah, blah, blah. All right, now I got to wait, 4 years before I see him, even come close. But I am intrigued by like a 6'7" pitcher, potential power pitcher, because, it's like, Randy Johnson from the right side would be pretty cool. And you think like that. I mean, a guy that size with that step, I mean, you're really, you're not throwing from 60 feet, 6 inches. You're throwing from like, I don't know. What are you even throwing from? Like 52 feet? I mean, like, how big of a step can you take? Okay. And then the last one is have the futures game in prime time. And I would love to see this.
I absolutely agree with this one.
We had Stott play in the futures game this year, which I didn't get to see at all. I don't even know when it was on.
Yeah, no, it should absolutely be on prime time. It should be marketed. That is a place where they really could start forming those narratives around young players. They've sort of started to embrace, again, they need to start learning more from the NBA. They've started to sort of embrace those sort of the rookie game in the NBA. There's no reason why the MLB and minor league baseball, sort of in this case, can't you have the ability to tell us these stories. It's give yourselves the place and the platform. Now you have so many opportunities to take advantage of these things, and I just feel like there's a lot of opportunities that get missed, that get dropped when it comes to this sort of. There's not a lot else to compete with right now with baseball. You are the game right now, so make the summer your platform.
Yeah, I know that there's probably a lot of people that are like, wow, it's just whatever, like Major League Baseball, whatever you're giving me is already enough. But there's a lot of other people like us that are like, yeah, I can't get enough baseball. So if you want to show me futures games, you want to show me AA All-Star Game, you want to show me AAA All-Star Game, I'll watch all of it. Like I don't care. I think it's all fun.
We are sort of the target audience for the World Baseball Classic as well.
No, I know. When is the All-Star Game coming to Philly? 2026?
Yeah. Yeah, 2026.
I mean, like I'm already planning now. Like, how the hell can I get?
How do I make that work?
Into that game. Even my wife was like, "So can we go to the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game?" And I was like, "Yo, sure." I don't know how do you pull that off. I think we have to buy season tickets for the whole year to qualify for that. But hell, it might be worth it. Hey, all right. Oh, so I had some ideas for so our basketball's got like the 3-point contest and they have the dunk contest, right? For like
right.
Right. Baseball's got the home run derby. Basketball has they also have the skills competition, right? Hockey's got the fastest hardest shot
and fastest skater.
Yeah, right. And then they have like a target contest or something. Right. So I was thinking about the NFL and I came up with a couple of them. I want to know what you think of them.
Okay.
So, just straight up field goal contest.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, do you want it to be kickers or should it be other players?
No, I want it to be kickers, man.
Okay.
Just set them up at like the 35 and then, add 5 yards every, or, 10 twice. Like, so it gets to like the 50 and then you start adding 5 to each one and just like,
I'd like to see it sort of like a, what do they call it? A horse competition in football or in basketball. Where
that would be cool. Like you
like
set it up in different places on the field.
Yeah,
that would be kind of neat.
Yeah,
I could get into that.
You got to spell out like punt or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or just like a 3-letter word, like ass or something. Okay, I actually like that one better.
But that would be cool because you could see some weird angles or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not used to kicking from here. Or like maybe something
because that they do that
in
or
something.
You know that guys they set stuff up from weird places and that happens.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe somebody will set because then it'll turn to like the dunk contest. This guy puts like a ring of fire like in the middle of the field or something. I don't know if I'd like to go that far, but I like that. I like the horse idea, the pig idea. The other one was a sled contest.
Okay.
Like offensive lines. Like I don't know how heavy we can make these sleds to see how fast they can push them. Like, I mean, would that be interesting to watch? I think it would.
It would be interesting to me.
Those are the two I came up with.
Yeah,
then I ran out of ideas, or I had to go to a meeting.
I think in that same vein, I think I would like to watch if you were able to do like the Oklahoma drill, but have it be opposing teams, not like you're just your own team,
right?
Where you actually see like your best. Is that the drill that's like one offensive lineman, one defensive lineman, and like a running back? Am I remembering that drill correctly?
I think so.
So I would like to see. I'd like to see like an Eagles lineman, against a Cowboys defender, and you always see those at training camp where the whole team sort of encircles the whole group, and they get real.
But you can't do anything that's like too
equivalent.
But yeah, no one will ever want to do anything that's too like violent or like contacty, because like this is all just for funsies, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Would you want to see some sort of a quarterback competition? I mean, I feel like they've always tried that where they like have moving targets and
Yeah, I just don't think it was ever done right. I don't think it was ever done right. I mean, I'm all for it.
It always seemed too Nickelodeon for me.
Yeah, just something that doesn't I would think okay, well, just do a longest throw contest. I just don't want anyone to get hurt. I don't know. They should figure that out. All right, let's talk about some other. I got a bunch of notes here that we didn't even really get into. If you didn't see the home run derby, they had each player had these designer bats, right? Like Pete Alonso had an artist come and make him 9 painted bats representing all the stages of his MLB career.
Wow.
I thought that was cool. Why
Pete Alonso already has 9 stages in his MLB career? Isn't he only in his 3rd year?
I think one of them was a T-ball bat. So can we? I think this is another opportunity for baseball. Get these artists designer bats and play them in the game. Why can't you play with them in the game? They could be the next a goalie helmet, right? Oh my gosh, there's a new helmet. Carter Hart's got a new helmet. What is it? Oh my gosh, it's themed after this. Blah 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 blah. And you get to put some personality into it and get to know these guys. Oh my gosh, JT Realmuto's got a horror themed bat. I don't know. I think it would just be cool to see these things. And again, it's just another way to get to know these players and feel like you're more connected to them and their personalities.
One of the things that I sort of understand about Major League Baseball players is one of the things that you really appreciate when you finally make it to the show is now you don't have to buy your own equipment. Once you sort of make it into the majors, you're sort of now allotted your equipment. So I wonder if part of that is just the cost factor.
Who cares? I don't think they would care.
Right, and I think that you're absolutely right. Do you think that the baseball purists would flip their lids if you suddenly had
I don't care about the baseball purists anymore. Let's make this game fun. You don't think it would be awesome you don't think Shohei would want to have a bat that would represent his Japanese heritage? Yeah. That would be cool.
Right. Yeah, I think that one of my favorite things whenever I'm playing on a video game is being able to put each of my player, I sort of adapt all the different bat color combinations, you know what I mean? But that's me because I like to customize crap to my own taste.
Very customizable.
But I think that what maybe this comes more to the bigger problem is there's that constant conversation around baseball around let's fix baseball. Let's fix the game. We got to fix the game. We got to go and change stuff and we got to fix it because people hate it. I don't think that any of that is true. I think that the whole concept, the whole fixed baseball movement is totally misguided. I think it wants a faster game, but it wants more runs, which are two completely contradictory concepts. You cannot have a faster baseball game and score more runs. The way that you have a faster baseball game is you get more outs. So when you police the game in which it's the way it's being policed right now, and this is back to our fun conversation about sticky stuff on the hats. If you are returning the advantage back to the hitters, they should have been policing against stuff like Spider Gook the whole time. But if you're now going to really come after your pitchers and sort of return the advantage back to the offense, you're going to see longer games. You want to move the mound back. That's going to result in more hits.
The answer is to make people not want the game to end. Make it so fun that no one cares how long it is. And that's the thing that baseball just really hasn't understood yet. Just pop the top off the bottle and just let it have fun. Let these players have fun. I don't care how long a baseball game is the length of a baseball game. I don't know. It is what it is. If I don't want to stay for the whole game, you don't want to stay for the whole game, just leave. I don't care. Right. It is what it is. But let it be fun. If it's fun, people will watch the whole thing. Like I said, I went to that Friday night game. It was an extra innings game. First off, it started at 6, which was awesome. Like, normalize starting baseball games at 6 o'clock. My kids went, they stayed for an entire 10-inning baseball game. It was awesome. They weren't sleepy or anything like in the stands. Like, just do that more often. And the game itself was a blast. So just let it be fun. And I think things like bats, like player bats, and getting to know these players more, make that happen. All right, let's talk about some other stuff. We got to get to the uniforms because I think we've put off talking about these All-Star Game uniforms for like entirely too long. Ever since they were announced, we were like, oh, we got to talk about the All-Star Game uniforms. All-Star Game uniforms are a thing in baseball. How do you feel about that?
It's funny because I was thinking about this in preparation for the show, and I think that one of the problems you have with uniforms of this sort of brand in general, your either your conference branding or your league branding or your regional branding, if it's East versus West or World versus North America in hockey.
Yeah.
The problem is, especially in baseball and football, you have a tendency to err towards the side of patriotism. And I don't mean this in a political sense, but I mean this in a color palette. What you end up with is lots of different versions of blue uniforms and red uniforms. And the problem is blue and red uniforms do not necessarily always make the coolest uniform. And I say this as a Phillies fan. I don't necessarily think that the Phillies uniform is the coolest uniform in baseball.
It's definitely not.
Hot take.
Yeah, no, but, it's not even close.
Think about if they had just made All-Star uniforms with throwing out the whole idea of like we play for the American and the National League and we have Eagles as our symbol and red and blue colors. Like if they just went for we are gonna come out with the coolest looking possible uniforms we can. Now baseball I think has been known, and they aren't doing it this year, but there have been years where they will just wear their uniforms during the game.
That's every year. That's every year. You just wear your team's uniform. If you are the home team, you wear your home team uniform. If you're the road team, you wear your road team uniform. That's it.
It didn't seem like this year they were doing that. It looked like this year they were actually in their like all-star uniforms.
Yeah, that's it, because this year there are all-star uniforms.
Oh, okay.
This is like the first year of that. They've always had like BP all-star jerseys that they wore for like the home run derby and like batting practice. Well, now they have these all-star game uniforms. So a couple things about them that I think are weird. One, that for as long as I've lived, the National League has been blue. The American League has been red.
Right.
This year, the All-Star Game uniforms, which sounds weird to say, the American League is wearing all blue. From the hat is blue, the jersey is blue, the pants are blue. They are a blueberry. They are the blueberries, the American League blueberries. The National League is wearing all white. Everything is white. Shirt, pants, they look like painters. It's just all white. And the other thing about the uniform is there's three letters that go on the side of the chest to individualize these guys and let you know what team they play for. So JT Realmuto's jersey says it has a big P, it's got a big H, and it's big I. He plays for Philadelphia.
And the logo in the middle, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to get to. Shohei is LAA because he plays for the Los Angeles Angels, right? And then overlaid on top of it is your logo, right? So for some teams, that looks cool, right? Like TOR, like Vlad Jr.'s TOR for Toronto. And then there's the Blue Jays logo is sort of like overlaid over top of that. The problem with this concept is for a shit ton of teams, their logo is a fucking letter.
Right.
So you are already putting letters on top of letters. So Shohei's got an LAA with another A on top of it. JT is PHI with another P on top of the H.
Boston,
and it looks just like
with another B on top of it.
Exactly. And it looks like alphabet soup over here, and then my whole rest of my uniform, I'm a painter.
Yeah, the whole visual thing is just sort of a mess. Like,
or maybe they're an
high
egg,
concept,
a white
very
egg.
low execution.
A white egg versus the eggs versus the blueberries is what I'm basically watching.
Somebody watched way too much Willy Wonka before this whole
I'm not into the whole like monochromatic look too. Like all blue, like a big solid blue uniform is weird to me. By the way, the NL is getting whipped right now, 5-1, the bottom of the 6th.
It is moving along though.
Yeah, which is something that you really can't say too often for all-star games, which, coverage starts at 7, first pitch is like 8:15. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Also, ESPN is hilarious because they say like, oh, the home run derby will be from 8 to 10, and then the celebrity softball game will be on at 10. Like, when the hell has the home run derby ever ended after 2 hours? Like, come on.
Never.
Get
never.
lost.
It's never happened in the history of baseball.
Okay, next thing. Scherzer started the game because DeGrom needs to spend time with his family. Right. And the reason Max Scherzer started the game is because he didn't get a chance to start last year. I mean, he started 3 other All-Star games, so it's not like he's never had an opportunity.
Was there an All-Star vote last year that I missed? Like, there was a season last year. There was no break.
Well, so what would have happened is the Nationals manager would have been the manager of the All-Star game, and he would have selected his guy to start the game, right? So this year,
we're assuming that Max Scherzer would have been an All-Star.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess that's also the other leap.
Yeah, I mean, he had an All-Star caliber season last year. So this year, Dave Roberts is the manager because the Dodgers won the World Series, and he said that because DeGrom wasn't playing, he selected Max Scherzer because like that's what would have happened last year. So I don't understand. I don't really get this. I don't think it's like that big of a deal. And also, I don't think Zach Wheeler has gotten into this game yet. Everyone kind of speculated that Zach Wheeler could be
going to start,
start in this game. But so what happens next year? Does next year's manager go, oh, well, I don't know. Zach Wheeler was robbed of an opportunity to start the All-Star game last year, so I'm going to start him this year. And then we just daisy chain that all the way down. Like who would have started last year's game is the way we do things.
Or what if DeGrom decides he doesn't like his family anymore and he decides he wants to pitch next year?
No, I don't know. I'll never – any of these guys that decline to go to the All-Star game, I'm not going to vote for.
Well, how do you feel about Bryce Harper coming out and saying, it's okay that I didn't get not elected into the All-Star game? I wouldn't have gone anyway because I wanted to spend time with my family.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, he basically came out and was like, I don't know if somebody asked him, like, how do you feel about not getting elected to the All-Star game or something? But basically he was like, I'm cool with it because I don't know if I was going to go anyway because I was going to spend time with my family. And I don't know if that was just...
I think he would have gone.
See, I do too. I think that having seen Bryce Harper... Now, he's never made an All-Star game as a Philly, but having seen him play in an All-Star game as a National, he seems like the type of guy that loves being in an All-Star game. He brought his dad with him to the home run derby. Yeah. This is a guy that likes the whole atmosphere. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me for him to be like, nah, I don't want to go to the All-Star. That just doesn't compute. So,
meh. All right.
I don't know. But I also don't want to hear that from my guy. I don't want to hear that from Phillies. I don't want to hear if I make the All-Star team, I'm not going. We have had way too many years where we've had like Dan Plesac as an All-Star. Like, please, God, if you are, thank you, JT Realmuto. I think you're the only catcher in the National League. Catch the whole goddamn game because at least then I get to see, one of my favorite players.
There is another catcher. There is another catcher. I don't know who it is, but I think it's whoever's the Milwaukee Omar Navarre is the other catcher for the National League. All right, a couple more. Let's last 5 minutes here. Let's actually talk about the Phillies, and let's talk about what happened in the last game before the All-Star break. We were going to get this Aaron Nola versus Nick Pivetta matchup, the battle for 500. Like if we win that game, we go into the break 500. But it's great because we got our ace pitching, and lo and behold, Alec Boehm gets tested positive for COVID and has to go into COVID protocol. Now, also, Aaron Nola, Connor Brogdon, and who was the other one? Falter.
Yeah, I think so.
Are also out for contact tracing related COVID protocol. So what this means is we don't know about. So Boehm, whether he's vaccinated or not, has tested positive for COVID. So he's positive, so it's irrelevant whether he's been vaccinated or not. The players that are vaccinated are not subject to the contact tracing COVID protocol. So obviously, though they are not positive, Nola, Brogdon, and Falter are all not vaccinated. And the Phillies themselves are, I believe it's one of 3 teams that have not reached the 85% vaccination rate. I
don't know. I don't understand this nationally, but I certainly don't understand if you played last season in Major League Baseball and you now have the opportunity to not have to deal with all of the COVID nonsense, not nonsense, but all of the protocols that you have to go through that you went through last year. If you could just not do that by getting vaccinated, why wouldn't you do it? I don't know, man. You are a person who is, even just from the very nature of the fact that your job requires you to travel as much as you do, whether you're traveling on private planes is either here or there. You are going to be in lots of other cities, in lots of other places, all of the time for the whole summer, and all of these guys have families. Why are they not taking the precaution to protect themselves against a virus? I don't understand.
Word on the street is that Brandon Kinsler scared a lot of players off from getting vaccinated because he said it caused some shoulder stiffness or neck tightness or something like that. I guess a bunch of players were like, okay, well, screw that. I'm not gonna.
Well, I mean, it does seem predominantly pitchers too.
Well, I think that's how the contact tracing worked, is because, well, I don't know how Boehm and then the pitchers, or maybe it's many of the hitters have been. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it's the hitters have been vaccinated. Now, from my understanding, is Didi Gregorius cannot be vaccinated. He's got some underlying health things going on.
Well, that's different.
But I don't know how it works. I don't know how how is Boehm not affecting any of the hitters, but all these bullpen guys and I don't know.
Maybe
it's just annoying to me because it's just annoying to me because it was an important game, and the only reason why we couldn't have our number one pitcher pitching is because he's not vaccinated. So I don't know.
Well, and it's mind-boggling that here we are, halfway through the summer with this whole thing, and why are we still having half the team just suddenly have to disappear for contact tracing? Why didn't you? The vaccine has basically been available since the season started. I don't know why the Phillies medical team isn't giving these guys better advice.
I just can't figure it out. You have a pandemic, and it's we have a vaccine for it. To say no, I don't want.
Your job involves traveling to multiple cities across the country. You are the type of person that would carry the virus from one place or to another.
It's just so. It's just. I mean, even if this stuff that came out with Johnson & Johnson, right? Like there's like an issue that's, your odds of catching and dying from COVID are greater than any issue related to, I don't know. I can't. Can we, I don't know why I started talking about this. I didn't want to talk about it anyway.
All right. So before we go, because
no, we're not going to go yet. I want to talk about like one more thing. And then if it's not what you wanted to talk about, we'll do it. Okay. I want to talk about Vince Velasquez. So Vince Velasquez leaving Fenway Park the other day was heckled by, I think, a Phillies fan.
I've seen the video. It's hard to tell.
It's unclear. I think it's a Phillies fan. He calls him a disgrace. Is that what he said? He called him a disgrace, or was he like
pathetic?
You're pathetic. Yeah. And you were walking out to the bus, and you get called pathetic, right? So Vinny Velo turns around and says, hey, fat ass, why don't you get out there and try to do it? Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but he definitely calls him fat ass.
Yeah.
And then he issues an apology. It was yesterday or today. He says, I want to take a moment to apologize for my recent behavior. My intentions were never to fat shame or offend anyone based on their physical appearance. I give my all to my team and blah, blah, blah. Hey, fat ass, why don't you get out there? Well, one, the guy probably.
I meant everything I said except for the fat part.
Look, here, and I'm going to tie this into Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons got basically put on blast at the ESPYs this week.
It was ice cold, man. Ice cold.
Basically, receiving like a I don't know. They set up some sort of like fake humanitarian award because he built orphanages with all his playoff bricks. I'm not really into making fun of players or giving players shit just because they're not good. Like, I'm all for like, having expectations or being hard on people or, pushing them to do better or like whatever it is. I'm all for knocking people that make like bonehead type plays. Like, oh, you moron. Like, why did you do that? For someone who's literally trying, for a player in Vince Velasquez who has done everything for this team, he's pitched, he's played outfield, he's pinch hit,
pitch run.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great athlete. He struggles on the mound, and I sometimes I feel bad for him, sometimes I feel bad for me, but I don't know. It's just like pretty low rent to call him pathetic as he's walking out of the stadium. And this apology was the most unnecessary apology I have ever heard. I think this guy probably is a fat ass and could never in a million years accomplish anything near physically what Vince Velasquez has accomplished in his career. So for that, fat ass is going to my penalty box. Even though
I didn't even know we were doing a penalty box. But
no, we're not. I just kind of riffed it. So, and also like lay off Ben Simmons. Like he gets it. Like you're not helping. You're not helping anything. You're not helping his trade value. You're not helping him get better to help the team when they get back. So like people like back off Ben Simmons. Like just let's let this thing breathe and see what happens. Anyway,
it is interesting that you, especially for a guy like Vince Velasquez, who, it's not, do you want him to say like, oh no, Phillies, don't re-sign me to this contract. I probably should go someplace else because the fans are really tired of me being trotted out there every fifth day. And, no, he is trying to maintain his career. There are a lot of people that couldn't even get to the modicum of,
yeah, but also I'm like, that
he has.
But that's also like, look, that's my Vince Velasquez.
Right.
Like I'll make fun of Vince Velasquez. You don't make fun.
Right.
And his
but I have to say, I've always been impressed with the amount of self-control it takes to be a professional athlete. And there is nothing quite as epically unnerving sometimes as when you see an athlete truly get somebody truly get under their skin, and you see that well of built up angst sort of spill out onto. It's never about the one guy. Do you remember like when Charles Barkley spit on a cameraman or something? Whenever these sorts of things happen, they end up being these big explosive moments. But you don't hear the stories of how many guys that called Vince Velasquez pathetic. Do you think he's ignored leading up to that moment on the bus?
Yeah, but it's also like these keyboard warriors that will go on Twitter and say whatever. And like in arena, it's the same thing, right? Like you don't expect the athlete to respond to you because you think you're so like detached. And yeah, that probably is true in the stands, right? Like if that guy was in the 200, 300 level going like, you're pathetic, nothing is going to happen to him. But he just caught him in a place where Vince had an opportunity to go like, what you're going to call me pathetic? Like, what have you ever done in your life?
Right.
Besides eat 600 cheeseburgers or whatever. And I think just calling him a fat ass and saying you get out there and try to do it is like going really easy on something.
Yeah. Like I think you let the guy off pretty easy.
That's a softball, baby.
Yeah, and actually
we said worse stuff than that in fourth grade. It sort of
endeared me more to Vince Velasquez, much in like the way that you sort of said, like, hey, like that's my Vince Velasquez. Like, come on.
But there's a reason why we have an entire episode called like Vince Velasquez and the Magic Beans is because we always buy into it because everybody really, really wants him to succeed. Like we all want him to pan out to that 16 strikeout guy.
We all see that there is, we see the same thing to a certain degree that the reason why they keep keeping him around is he can throw the ball in ways that are impressive for moments and weeks at a time in some cases, but he sort of always defaults back to what he is. And that's the difference between having a guy that is a great player, a Hall of Fame player, and having a guy who has Vince Velasquez's career where you're able to sort of make a living, but you're also inconsistent.
Right. All right. That's all I had. What did you want to bring up?
I just wanted to bring up, and just in the most briefest of senses, the Phillies are 500 here at the break.
Yep.
It has been well documented that statistically they have one of the easier runs in the second half of the season.
Yes.
Are you a buyer at at the trade deadline? And
absolutely.
Give me all the reasons why you're not trying to just get a closer.
Oh, what? Wait, what?
Like, convince me why I'm going to be a buyer, and literally the thing I'm going to try and buy is a lockdown closer.
Yeah.
If I'm the Phillies and I need one thing, I can get one guy. The thing I think I can get that's going to make the most difference for this team, I'm going to get normally, I wouldn't say that. Normally, a closer is a finishing piece.
No, because that's the thing. Like, you're going to need one next year too. I mean, there's no closer that's like. I mean, unless So if Ranger Suarez is a dude, right? And I think the jury's still out if he's a dude or not. But as of right now, he's what we got in the ninth inning, and to pitch a 7-out save in Fenway with 500 record on the line.
Yeah.
Going into the All-Star break, that was a big game, and that was a very tense game, and a really fun game too. To come in that moment, with the bases loaded, get that last out, then get the bases loaded again in the eighth, and get out of that one, and then come in and pitch a perfect ninth. I mean, I don't know. He's getting tested, and he's passing. So if he's a dude, and you get another back-end bullpen guy that can hey, maybe Ranger's the eighth inning guy, and then, Archie Bradley gets moved to the seventh inning, or maybe Ranger's the seventh inning guy. It gives Girardi so many more options, just like one more reliable bullpen arm. And then I think an outfielder, I don't know where. I guess center field would be great. I don't know what Odubel's situation, what his injury situation is right now, and obviously, what happened to Roman Quinn, and we still haven't seen Adam Hazley yet. So I don't know what, like, the center field position is still like a little like weird to me, and I don't know about like Jankowski being a guy you can rely on.
This Janikowski guy or whatever in center field, he doesn't. He seems like he can field the position okay. I just don't know. I mean, the problem has been offense this whole season.
But yeah, here's my where I'm sitting right now is I expect the Phillies to win this division at this point. With the injury to Acuna,
you don't think it's Acuna?
No, with the injury to Acuna, and all of the other problems that the Braves have, like Soroka out for the season, and with what happened to Ozuna.
And they just aren't deep. The Braves just weren't.
I just think that
was
falling.
Always the problem with the Braves is if they had something like this happen, they weren't deep.
I have a hard time believing that they're going to do it. Now, the Mets are a problem, but I just think the Phillies can outscore the Mets. I feel like their pitching staff is talented but not durable. So, I don't know. Like, I feel like every other week we hear this, like, DeGrom left the game. Or,
and the Phillies have had good games against DeGrom. They've actually beaten him at least once this year.
I'll tell you who I like. I like this Taijuan Walker guy.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, Peterson. I don't know. And I mean, the Mets are going to be buyers too. So you gotta think about that too. Imagine how scary the Mets would be if they kept Wheeler.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that the Wheeler plays for us.
Yeah. Yeah, so I expect the Phillies
so it's going to be. I think they've
buyers.
sucked me into a certain degree to at least be.
They got to be buyers anyway, Gene. Because look, there's no way out of this. The only way out of this.
Yeah, what are you going to sell?
Well, I don't know. But exactly.
But
the only way, I don't know who you're going to trade. Who are you going to trade? But the only way out of this is to spend and win. Right? There's no you can't tear it down. You can't build it up internally, so you're going to have to get pieces from the outside, and then do it through free agency, because there's just no other way. There's just no other way out of it. You have to you kind of got to Brian Cashman this thing.
Well, and it's amazing to me because really the Phillies, I mean, they have had dead offensive periods, but really seriously, if they had truly fixed the bullpen, which they said they had, which we all had questions about, they would be in front of this division. If you look at the games that we have given back because of, games we were winning in the 8th inning, 9th inning that we lost, then we are in front. We're winning this division. That what your problem is.
Yeah.
Yes, you have had periods where your offense was not clicking, but you have had enough offense. And right now you're just coming off a road trip where you scored almost 90 runs or something insane.
Yeah, and Neris and Alvarado are virtually unusable at this point.
And they were always big question marks to begin with. Alvarado.
Yeah, but Alvarado was supposed to be we got this electric 100-mile-per-hour guy from free agency. It's gonna help fix the bullpen. Well, he's not even a piece.
Throw a strike.
He's not even a piece, and he's out of control. He's gonna kill somebody.
Throw a strike. You can throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but if you can't get anywhere near the plate, nobody's going to swing at it.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, so Phillies in the second half of the season, you heard it here. They're going to win the division.
I think they'll be in first place in mid-August.
Man, and then we're going to wish we had Gabe Kapler there to see it through.
Well, do you know we don't have a single home divisional playoff series? No, I'm sorry. We don't have a single divisional series in the month of September at home.
We don't. Oh, at home. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring up.
I'm sure we play the Mets in September. We always do. I'm sure we have a series in Atlanta, and we probably have 4 games against the Marlins.
Yeah, so
I know we have a late August series against the Nationals because I'm thinking about going down. So I know that is a thing that exists.
Oh, are you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking about going down and seeing the Phillies Nats.
All right, let's see here. So I'll do that later. So we have this Mets series here early August, and that'll be when we go into first place.
Okay.
I think. And then so we look at September, and there's not so we play the Braves on the road at the end, Mets on the road here in the middle.
That could be a huge series.
And then a road series against the Marlins. So not a home divisional series.
Yeah, see that Wednesday
September.
Nationals game there?
Yeah.
First, like that Monday, Tuesday, right around there is when I'm thinking about going down.
Oh, yeah, you going down?
Thinking about
it. Do you need some friends to go in there?
Hey, man, I always like company.
All right, I'm going to send you with my son. All right, that's all the time we have for today. If you haven't done so already, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search Podadelphia. If you have any more time in your podcast listening day, be sure to check out the Whip Around for all the week's weird news. And also check out the Painted Lines on YouTube or wherever you consume social media. They got you covered 4 for 4 Phillies sports. We'll be back next Tuesday talking about what else? Phillies, right?
We're inching ever closer to Eagles training camp, though. Yeah,
and Phillies and Space Jam.
Right.
Next week we'll do some Space Jam talk too. So until we enjoy each other's company again, have a great day at work, everybody. We are out of here.